Hi everyone. Today I'm at the beach as usual, and this video is going to be a little bit different because I'm using my old camera to take it rather than my phone. There's an interesting story behind that I will tell you later on in the video. But I'm out here meditating today because, like a lot of you who have spoken to me about the past several days, I've been experiencing a lot of shifting and definite changes, definite stripping away of certain things, and a new awareness of, I don't want to call it shadow, because shadow tends to be what is the inverse of good qualities that we have, you know. Like if someone's very generous, their shadow side would be the really miserly, selfish side, or, you know, pure opposite, things that cause harm. But what I do want to call it is darkness, because there's this whole element of darkness that's a really rich element of existence that people in the New Age community are afraid of and don't know how to define, and want to kind of deny that there's any use in it at all, or want to label it and say that it's wishing harm. And I don't think that that's true at all. The darkness I'm talking about is not wishing harm on anyone. It's just a more dry, very intensely powerful, gritty, kind of authentic, unapologetic, powerful energy, you know. And so that's something that's been emerging in the past few days. Well, probably a week or so. Anyway, so I'm here meditating, regaining my center, and I was moving through my chakras, and I noticed that as I was going through, I was getting kind of the download tutorials that I often get about various things. And this particular one was about how the upper chakras are more about vibration and etheric and non-physical world, and then the lower chakras below the heart, the heart's the division, the throat chakra, third eye chakra, and crown chakra are above the heart, and then the solar plexus chakra, sacral chakra, and root chakra are below the heart. And those ones below the heart are more about the world of form that we're in. So manifest being, physical emotions, cravings, body stuff, real world stuff, third dimensional stuff. And then above the heart, it's speaking, so sound vibration, and thinking, and intuition, and divine knowledge, things like that. So as I was going back and forth between my chakras, because the way that I meditate is start at the top and then bounce back and forth between the top and the bottom until I center out in my heart. Usually, sometimes I'll go from top all the way down to root chakra, but often I end up centering in my heart. As I was doing that, I was being shown how we're here to merge the world of form and the world of the not yet formed. And so if we were to completely deny the world of form, which is what a lot of intuitive people do, they hop up into their upper chakras and never hang out in the earthly plane, which is something that I am very knowledgeable about because I've done it most of my life, and only now in the past year or so have I been learning to really truly ground. Then you miss out on a whole aspect of experience and you don't do your mission. If you're just hanging out in your top chakras, you're not doing what you're here to do either, or else you wouldn't have come here onto this physical plane. So that's the first one, and then with that comes this really interesting vulnerability versus strength, because often when we allow ourselves to be vulnerable, which first of all is a really hard thing to do, because the reason that you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable often is because you're afraid of getting hurt. So if you're going to then allow yourself to be vulnerable, and I'm not talking in a great big grand gesture, I mean walking down the street and not being afraid to meet the people's eyes you see, or more often, and this is something that I'm really finding lately with light workers, who are often also people who struggle with being people pleasers, then what you find is the desire to not give everyone you see this bright smile that says, I like you, please like me, please show me that you approve of me, please show me that you like me. But if you don't feel like smiling, don't smile. If you, not that you should scowl or growl at anyone, but you know what I mean, just being authentic. That's a type of vulnerability. I know that for much of my adolescent and adult life, I used my bubbly persona as a mask and as a suit of armor. Same thing I think that a lot of women do with dressing up, putting on makeup, even keeping your physical form in certain shape, things like that. And men do it in similar ways and other ways as well. So anyway, that's a type of vulnerability. vulnerability not always being super nice, and then the strength there is in your physical form. So it goes back and forth. Whenever your physical form is vulnerable, like you'll feel vulnerable if your paradigms are getting hugely shifted, which is why you'll find that sometimes if you speak to certain people about spiritual subjects who are either very locked into one particular spiritual dogma or who don't like to think about it at all, you'll see them get extremely uncomfortable, and they feel that if their paradigms were to shift and their entire world is to shift and their physical body does not like that feeling. Or you'll find that when people shift things in the physical body, intuitive people, they won't really feel safe, like their intuition isn't going to be able to survive if they shift something about their physical body. So these two things bouncing back and forth, vulnerability and strength, but then if you go beneath the vulnerability and you say, okay, well, I'm going to choose to be vulnerable, this beautiful, huge strength knot kind of starts to unfurl and unravel and become this thing that can often be quite intimidating, and that's where that darkness comes in. A lot of strength and power is really hidden in the darkness. And again, when I say darkness, I'm not talking about going around and blasting people or manipulating people or really anything having to do with anyone else ever. It's all within, and it's all the pieces of yourself that are your real core, the pieces of yourself that come up to save the day when someone's in danger, or that come up when you're outreached. That strength, it doesn't always have to be attached to a negative emotion, but usually we hide it in the dark. We wonder why we can't access that type of power when we're not in some type of really dangerous, scary situation. Anyway, so that is the premise of what I think is going on right now, and having to do with the shifting. I think that with the new moon, a lot of stripping energies came in. I know a lot of people, myself included, who are having things kind of unceremoniously ripped away from them, and I've been asking about it in meditations, because first I thought it was just me after the experience I had this weekend, and then I realized that it wasn't. It's actually a lot of people, and I'm being told that a whole new paradigm is coming in, and so anything that's not essential is being removed. And it can either go in peace and you can deal with it and welcome the shifts, or you can fight it and be really upset and really worried and pissed off about it, you know. And so the thing that happened to me actually was I went to the Ojai hot springs with some friends, and if you've never been and if you're in the vicinity of Ojai, go. I don't know the directions or anything, just Google it, you'll find it. But anyway, it was incredible, and there are these gorgeous mineralized hot springs, and it was nighttime, and it was on the night of the new moon, Saturday night. So there was no moon, the sky was full of these amazing stars. We got there just after sunset, and every time we looked up, it was as if more and more stars emerged. It was truly amazing, and we're laying in the hot springs for like 5 hours, just totally soaking up all of the amazing minerals and life-giving nutrients in the hot springs, which is just a holy experience in itself, because how many areas in the world does Gaia just give warm water like that? I'm looking at these pelicans flying. Let me see if I can zoom in so you can see. Can you see those? I think you can see them. They're so majestic, and in the picture you can't really see the size, but they're big birds, really big. Anyway, they're so stately. I love looking at them. Anyway, so we're hanging out in the hot springs for hours and hours. It was really amazing having all these philosophical discussions with people we didn't even know, and we were talking about how since the starlight was really gorgeous and glowing, and I realized that I'd never spent that long in pure starlight before, with no electric light, no street lights, no headlights, and outside in the pitch black dark like that, which, to be fair, it wasn't pitch black, it was starlight, and everything had a really unique glow. But it was definitely a new experience and a great one. So anyway, we're sitting there and realizing that, you know, all these people that we're having these life-changing discussions with, we could see them in the grocery store the next day and wouldn't even recognize them because we can't really see their faces. So it brought a whole new dimension of interpersonal relating. It was not in these upper chakras as much as far as, you know, seeing, hearing. It was more in the very physical, feeling the hot springs, smelling the sulfur and the other minerals, and being able to connect on a really new level. Anyway, we were definitely blissed out, and I do plan on taking a group there in October. So if you are in the vicinity in Los Angeles area and you want to come, then send me a message, because I'm thinking, I love watching the tide, it's so hypnotic, because I'm thinking about taking a small group of people up to hang out in the springs. Anyway, So we're there for like 5 hours, decide to go. It's the wee hours of the morning at this point, and we get up to go, and everyone's stuff is perfectly fine. No one's things are touched except, that was interesting. The tide had not hopped up here for the whole hour I've been sitting here, then it comes and splashes me. It's kind of awesome though, and hey, my camera wasn't there. I don't really care about my shoes. I'm gonna be respectful of the ocean and move back a little. And the interesting thing about that particular moment was that the tide was going out. The tide was going out. Until then, I'd been here for a long time. As I was saying, at the moment that we get up to leave, and I don't think the timing of that was any coincidence either, we realized that my bag was gone, with my purse in it, my wallet, my phone, my, you know, a little cash, not that much money, but my credit cards, my clothes, food, keys, everything was gone. But considering everyone else's stuff, my, you know, grass beach bag next to these nice backpacks and stuff, mine was not really the logical one to take. It wasn't the nicest thing. It didn't look very expensive at all. And it was in the middle of the other bags, and no one had really been around that spot anyway, and the people there were also really nice and felt very high vibe. So the fact that my bag was taken was very strange, and I think very significant. And I'm not still quite sure what the lesson is. Something about not being super attached to physical things, realizing that you are who you are no matter what's sitting on your hip, whether or not a phone's there, your keys are there, your credit card's there. And so on one hand, I'm not really moving forward with it. I think that there's a chance that it might all show back up in my life very soon. I'm aware of that, but I also did, you know, stop my credit cards and things like that, so that just in case I am being somewhat practical. Anyway, and as a result, I was told that, first of all, I was working too much, and this was forcing me to not be so much of a workaholic, which I can do, especially when I love my job as much as I do. And also that it's really important to know that we don't need anything to be who we are, and you're not in any way enhanced or diminished by what you carry with you, or what people think of you, or what you're called, or what you own, or any of that kind of stuff. So again, it's that vulnerability and strength, one leading to the other. So that's what I'll leave you on today. I'm gonna go and try to dry out my stuff. Maybe I'll walk back barefoot to the car. And that was another interesting thing, since all my clothes were in my bag that night, I had to walk back, hike back through the dark woods with my friends, barefoot and basically naked because I had a bathing suit on, which on one hand I was a little worried about at first, but then it was amazing, and I realized that never, probably in several more years, would I ever have thought to hike barefoot, mostly naked, middle of the woods, just me and nature. And it was actually a really interesting experience and very heightened sensory awareness, because hello, your skin's out, the breeze is blowing, you're hearing stuff, you're walking on things. It was awesome, actually. I would even recommend it. You know, don't get a ticket for being naked, but you know what I'm saying. Anyway, so yeah, that's what's been going on, and that was kind of the night of the new moon. Everything's out, the energy is all out, and I was stripped, literally, of my possessions and of the things that I had unwittingly defined myself by. Didn't really mean to, didn't know I did, but I think it's more common, especially with electronics and gadgetry, that we do that. So I'll keep you posted on what happens with it. I'm waiting. I think there's more to the story that I don't know about yet. But anyway, go in peace. Have a great week. Those of you who are experiencing these crazy challenges, I feel ya, it's hard, but just keep going and know that you'll get through, and find that underneath reserve of bottomless strength, because that's what this stuff is happening for, to make you find it. Anyway, I will talk to you again very soon.